Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the second chapter, contents of the Gita summarized, verse number 29. Ascharyavat pashyati kaschitenam Ascharyavat vadati tathaiva chanya Ascharyavat chainamanya shrunoti Shrutva-pyenam vedana chaiva kaschit. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai ho. Since Gita Upanishad is largely based on the principles of the Upanishads, it is not surprising to also find this passage in the Katha Upanishad 1.2.7. Shravanyapi bahubhir-yo nalabhya Shrinvantopi bahavo yam navidyo Ascharyo bhakta kushalosya labdha Ascharyo jnata kusalanushishta. The fact that the atomic soul is within the body of a gigantic animal, in the body of a gigantic banyan tree, and also in the microbic germs, millions and billions of which occupy only an inch of space, is certainly very amazing. Men with poor fund of knowledge and men who are not austere cannot understand the wonders of the individual spark of the spirit, even though it is explained by the greatest authority of knowledge who imparted lessons even to Brahma, the first living being in the universe. Owing to a gross material conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine how such a small particle can become both so great and so small. So this verse is telling us how incredible the soul is. It is unimaginable. You see, we have our intelligence and we have sense organs. We have 5 senses, Gyanendriya. But our senses are material. So it is very difficult for us to conceive of this incredible spirit soul. It is so tiny that none of the modern equipments like microscopes and electron microscopes and any of those things cannot see it. It is so minute. Yet it is so huge because that tiny spark of the soul is there in an elephant, in a whale, which is so huge, and that tiny spark can make that body conscious. That is so amazing. That's what this verse say, that some think of the soul as amazing, some describe it as amazing, some hear of the soul's amazing qualities, but no one can understand it. It is achintya, beyond our scope of understanding. So, owing to the gross material conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine this. Because see, we are living in a material age where we just know material things. If I show you a book, a pencil, a pen, these are things I can touch, feel, see with my material sense organs. therefore I can understand it. But when I start talking about spiritual things, then there is a big confusion, because you can't see those things. They are very subtle, sukshma. So men of this age, Kali Yuga especially, we are so materially programmed. Anything spiritual goes soup over our head. We don't understand it and we deny it. Men look at the soul proper as wonderful either by constitution or by description. Illusioned by the material energy, people are so engrossed in the subject matters for sense gratification, they have very little time to understand the question of self-understanding. Even though it is a fact that without this self-understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. Perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul and thus make a solution to the material miseries. You see, we are living in this material age, the iron age of Kali, where we are so programmed to think along our material ways, and we are so engrossed in sense gratification. Life is all about sense gratification. As long as I can pamper my sense of sight, sense of hearing, sense of taste, my genitals, all those sense organs have to be satisfied. That's what life is all about in this, unfortunately, in this age of Kali. So who has the time for Tattva Jigyasa, Atma Jigyasa, knowing the self? Nobody has got the time, unfortunately. Some people who are inclined to hear about the soul may be attending lectures in good association, but sometimes owing to ignorance, they are misguided by acceptance of the super soul and the atomic soul as one without distinction of magnitude. It is very difficult to find a man who perfectly understands the position of the super soul, the atomic soul, their respective functions and relationships, and all the other major and minor details. And it is still more difficult to find a man who has actually derived the full benefit from the knowledge of the soul, and who is able to describe the position of the soul in different aspects. But if somehow or the other one is able to understand the subject matter of the soul, then one's life is successful. So this paragraph talks about how difficult it is to understand the soul in this age. The easiest process for understanding the subject matter of the self, however, is to accept the statements of Bhagavad Gita spoken by the greatest authority, Lord Sri Krishna, without being deviated by other theories. But it also requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice, either in this life or in previous ones, before one is able to accept Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna can, however, be known as such by the costless mercy of a pure devotee and by no other way. Wow, this statement is priceless. You see, I'm here talking to you about Bhagavad Gita, right? How many of you out there really is interested in Bhagavad Gita, number one? Number two, how many of you believe in what is written in Bhagavad Gita? How many of you really honestly believe that whatever Krishna is saying is the gospel truth? Well, I don't know, but I know from this purport that Prabhupada says that it requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice in this life or in the previous life. You see, it is not easy to come to Krishna consciousness. As my Gurudev says, Krishna consciousness is not cheap. You can't buy it so cheaply. It takes a hell of a lot sacrifice, penance. You see, after many lifetimes of penance, sacrifice, practice, one reaches a point where one finds interest in reading Bhagavad Gita. One looks up to Lord Krishna as the Supreme Lord. It is not easy. I know people in my family, in my neighborhood, in my friend circle who don't care for Bhagavad Gita, who don't care to know why they are here, what will happen after we die. They don't care because they brush it off. Oh, that's all a mystery. No, it's not a mystery. You see, if you read Bhagavad Gita, everything is clearly stated. But Prabhupada says you need your Sukriti, previous lives Sukriti, good karma that brings you to Bhagavad Gita. And if you're here listening to this, you definitely have done some great karma in your past life or this life. That is why you are hearing Bhagavad Gita. So it is very rare opportunity, believe me. And to accept Lord Krishna as a supreme Godhead is a very difficult task. It doesn't come easily. Maybe verbally we can just give lip service. Yes, Krishna is the greatest God. But deep in our heart, do we actually understand it? Do we follow it? You can look inside yourself. And one more important point is that it is by the costless mercy of a pure devotee which brings you to that stage where you start accepting Bhagavad Gita. A pure devotee of the Lord was Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON. He was indeed a pure devotee. Because Srila Prabhupada took out so much effort to write this purport, the translation, Srila Prabhupada I've heard, he used to sleep just 2 hours, hardly, at the age of 70. You see, at the age of 70, when people are in the end of their life and they don't want to do anything more arduous, they just want to relax and enjoy. At that age, Srila Prabhupada used to sleep just barely 2 hours, and he used to sit and write translations, record the purport of Bhagavad Gita. Because of the mercy, because of the great compassion of Srila Prabhupada, we have Bhagavad Gita's so beautiful purport before us. So it is from the mercy of a pure devotee that one gets the knowledge of Lord Krishna. Coming to the next shloka, number 30. With the shloka number 30, we will finish the description of the soul, and then we move on to Sakam Karma. So slok number 30 says, Dehe nityam avadyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitum arhasi. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. Purport. The Lord now concludes a chapter of instructions on the immutable spirit soul. In describing the immortal soul in various ways, Lord Krishna establishes that soul is immortal and the body is temporary. Therefore, Arjuna as a Kshatriya should not abandon his duty out of fear that his grandfather and teacher Bhishma and Drona will die in the battle. On the authority of Sri Krishna, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the body, the material body. Not that there is no such thing as soul, or that living symptoms develop at a certain stage of material maturity resulting from interaction of chemicals. Though the soul is immortal, violence is not encouraged, but at the same time war is not discouraged. When there is actual need for it, that need must be justified in terms of sanction of the Lord and not capriciously. So that was verse number 30. Again, we are spirit souls. We are not the body. We are not the material body. Soul is permanent. Soul is Sanatan, immortal, and the body is temporary, perishable. So that is the basic key idea. And therefore, Arjuna does not have to lament for his teachers and grandfather. At the same time, we are the soul, we are not the body, but that doesn't give us a license to kill indiscriminately. Violence is discouraged. At the same time, war is not discouraged. If required, then war has to be fought. With that, I will stop today's video. Hope that you understood something, benefited in some way. Thank you so much for being there, for watching the video. Please feel free to share it with your friends and family. If you like the video, please give a thumbs up. And Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. See you next time. Till then, Hare Krishna.